guys, and welcome back to my chart ruler series. Okay, so in today's video we are going to be discussing the Scorpio rising chart ruler. First and foremost, if you do not know what the chart ruler is within astrology, then I would like to kindly point you into the direction of my chart ruler video. Okay, so by having a Scorpio rising, it means that Pluto is going to be your chart ruler, but also Mars is going to be your sub-ruler, meaning that as you do enter into all the areas of your life, you're going to be doing so through the lens that is Scorpio. We're going to start off by discussing the meaning of Pluto, followed by the role that Pluto will have on your life or will play in your life. Then we're going to finish off by assessing how you can interpret your own Pluto placement within your birth chart. For more information all about Pluto though, then check out my Pluto in astrology video. Okay. This right here is the first of the generational planets that we're talking about within the series. The generational planets being Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. It does go specifically in that order outward, but we're starting off with Pluto first. Pluto is the modern day ruler of Scorpio, whilst Mars is the traditional ruler. And did you know that there are two symbols for the planet Pluto? Yes, there is a symbol for the higher octave of Pluto and a symbol for the lower octave. And when it comes to the higher octave, there is a connection with the symbol of Neptune. Therefore, there is a linkage here happening between Pisces, who is ruled by Neptune, and then also with Scorpio. And these two signs are both water signs. It's also important to note here that Neptune is connected with Poseidon, the god of the sea. Pluto is connected with Hades, the god of the underworld, and then Uranus, the last generational planet, like I said, is connected to the god of the sky. So you can sort of see how these three planets are all very connected, but it's the sea and the underworld that are both hidden, aren't they? And furthermore, Neptune and Pluto are both unconscious planets, as they do rule unconscious houses. Now, I said in my moon video that the symbol for the moon is the crescent, and it's this crescent that symbolizes the personality. Now, for Neptune, you're going to see here the connection with Neptune and Pluto. Just wait for it. For Neptune, it's the moon that's being pierced by the cross. And we have talked about this cross multiple times throughout this series and how the cross represents Earth manifestation. And the fact that this cross is being pierced through the crescent, that is the moon, it suggests that it's the personality that is being set free. But when we do address the higher octave of Pluto, we've got the circle. This is the circle of spirit, and we place it just above this chalice, just above it, meaning that the personality is being uplifted above Earth manifestation. And this suggests the reaching of universal consciousness, universal wisdom. I stated in my Aries chart ruler video about how Mars is action. It's drive, it's full of energy. It's this energy that is essential, really, when it comes to birth. And even the amount of energy that is required for a seed to burst through the ground. But where is that seed coming from exactly? It's coming from darkness. Every single seed on Earth comes from darkness. We all came from darkness, didn't we? It suggests that all life begins in darkness. And so it's the higher octave of Pluto that represents this process. Us rising from the darkness and into the light. However, with the lower octave of Pluto, this represents death. Because essentially, both death and life and death They go hand in hand, do they not? We couldn't have one without the other. We just couldn't. So guys, whilst the lower octave of Pluto represents the death of self, the higher octave represents the rebirth and the regenerational process that brings us to wisdom that is inherent in us all. And this is exactly why Pluto represents those parts of ourselves that are really quite terrifying to address. It is this planet that is represented with pure destruction. It's the ruler of all destructive choices and taboos in the world. But it's these destructive choices, actually, that we are all very, very much capable of making. And the thing about it is that so many of us just sweep all of that yucky stuff under the rug. All of those things that we quite simply just don't want to talk about. You know, like abuse, murder, rape, violence, sex. But oh no, these are things that we only hear about on the television, on the news, that we read about in magazines. But in fact, all of these things can reach a lot closer to home than we might think. And this is why so many people repress these things and they want to keep a lid on them. They want to keep them under control. But by doing that though, it can all just spin out of control and it can lead to these self-destructive circumstances regardless. However, when we do face our fears and crawl sort of into the darkness, so to speak, it's about knowing that we're gonna make it out alive. And this is essentially why Pluto is the catalyst for change. It's Pluto that governs the act of ultimate survival in the never-ending cycle of beginnings and endings. Now, like I said, Pluto is the modern-day ruler of Scorpio and Mars is the traditional ruler. So if you do have a Scorpio rising, Mars is going to be the sub-ruler. Therefore, it's quite good to look to see where both of these planets are placed within your chart. But for the purpose of this video, we're just really going to be focusing on Pluto. Alright, so now with all of that out of the way, what role will Pluto play in your life if you do have a Scorpio rising? By having a Scorpio rising, your story is about empowerment. Pluto is in fact the most powerful out of all the planets. I mean, you would have to be, right? You'd have to be pretty powerful in order to stay in one sign for as long as Pluto does, trying to change the entire world. And because of this power, it does suggest that you know, Scorpio risings, you give off the same powerful force. So when other people do look at you, they do not under any circumstances really want to mess with you. No. Sure, they won't want to mess with an Aries rising, but you? No. Definitely not. Though still, this power didn't just come to you gracefully, did it? You're not graceful like the Libra risings, the sign before you. This power actually might have been sort of forced on you. Still, through this power, you find your power. You might have actually experienced a pretty difficult childhood. Could be that you have experienced some serious traumas or crisis in your life. Could be suggested that you were born and then someone within your family just dies around the same time as you, creating such grief and sadness in your family life. And so all of this grief and sadness was just hidden from you. It was just hidden from you, but you still felt it because you're very sensitive to all of these underlying currents. But whatever the case may be, you are used to living with the idea that you're surrounded by mystery. This is why so many of you actually do make such great investigators and detectives. But if in fact things were hidden from you constantly, this can make you quite suspicious. And I mean this in any area of your life. You certainly do not ask a Scorpio rising what their sign is, or when their birthday is, or what time they were born. No, do not do it. They will turn to you and just be like, "Excuse me, why are you asking me this? I'm not giving you my birthday." But really, as a Scorpio rising or ascendant, your presence is highly magnetic. And this means that through your approach to life, you are magnetizing whatever you want towards you. In fact, you can heal people with your magnetism. And if you do believe that you're here to help transform others and to heal them and to empower them, then go for it. But at the same time though, Scorpio risings, be sure to remember yourself. Okay? Because I'm sure there's things within you that perhaps you've not addressed yet. Yes, you will be able to live as a healer or as a counselor for other people. I think this comes through you truly understanding yourself and battling the demons that lie within yourself. Because when you do that, when you are able to dig into yourself and battle those demons, you're going to be able to relate to other people on a much deeper spiritual level. Because hey, you made it out alive, didn't you? Therefore, you can certainly help others. For you, your life is about confronting that which is dark, taboo, hidden, or destructive. It's you, Scorpio risings, who must bring into the light of consciousness what is dark and hidden inside of yourselves. It's through these things that you find your power. And I do think that a huge lesson that we can all learn from Scorpio is for us to not be afraid of what is dark and what is hidden. We learn through Scorpio how we can then transcend ourselves through deep, intense healing and introspection. Alright, so now we have established what Pluto represents and the role that it's going to play in your life. How exactly can you interpret your Pluto placement within your birth chart? Because after all, this placement is going to play a very important role in your life. Now, whichever sign Pluto is in is going to have a generational effect. It will show how society can transform as a collective. But whichever house your Pluto is in, it's a lot more personal to you. It will tell you in which area this transformation is happening for you, where traumas or crises might lie, where this healing process must play out, and where these self-destructive tendencies might occur. We're going to be looking at a couple of examples then. On that note, if you do have a Scorpio rising or you have any experiences with any Scorpio risings, then let me know in the comment section your own experiences. First example, we're going to do a Scorpio rising with their Pluto and Sagittarius in their second house. If you do have this placement, it means you were born between 1995 and 2008 and you are part of Generation Z, or Z for all you Americans. It is really quite likely that an individual with Pluto in the second house has suffered from painful childhood experiences concerning money. They might have been abandoned on a material level. Money might have even been a matter of life and death and survival for this person. Perhaps money and possessions were used as a means to control this person. Maybe they were manipulated using these things, or manipulated in terms of their self-worth. They could have been told, for example, that they just weren't good enough. It might be money that is used as a coping mechanism for the lack of self-worth that this person has. And so potentially it could lead to them being or becoming quite obsessive or secretive when it comes to money or when it comes to their possessions. When it does come to this healing, it's about the tearing down of wealth, or this tearing down of their self-worth, resulting in them having to rebuild it all from the ground up. It's not going to be easy for this person, it's not going to be easy, but it's Pluto that is going to force them. It's going to force them to break it all down in order for them to gain a much new perspective as to what it is that they truly value in life. Though, essentially, it's about them coming to terms with their own value, facing those dark corners of hatred that they might have, that they might have within themselves. This feeling of unworthiness, the feeling of guilt for this person. It's about them finding their inner wealth and gaining a much deeper evaluation of self-worth and personal resources, developing new assets and survival skills for themselves. But like I said, it's not going to be easy for this person because it does feel like so much of them is just being stripped away, or it feels like so much is being taken away from them. They might just find it really hard to seek the gain. But I think that that's just it, because it's that question. Do they see the gain that can come from the loss? Does this person look back on their lives and see what can be gained from it? Or do they see nothing but destruction? For them, it's about knowing when enough is enough and taking back their power and their self-worth. Another example is going to be someone with a Scorpio rising, their Pluto in Virgo in their 11th house. If you do have this placement, then you were born between 1956 and 1972, and you are part of Generation Jones. This is likely going to be an individual who has intense emotional experiences where friendships, groups, and communities are concerned. There's going to be a deep emotional connection that they might feel towards all of these areas. And so they might provide this very intensifying approach or passion towards these things. In fact, they just might transform the lives of their friends completely. This also suggests a person that wants to change the world, like completely turn it on its head and transform it. They'll almost want to tear down society altogether so that they can rebuild it again. This individual is going to be the type of individual that will almost die for their friends. They're going to be loyal and devoted to them. However, there is also a tendency to control crowds, to manipulate them. They can also become quite paranoid. But I do think ultimately with this placement that they could have perhaps experienced loss when it comes to these areas. Maybe they were isolated by friends or groups growing up. Maybe it's that other people try to instill power or force over them. It is quite important then for this person to explore those darker sides of these situations. It might even be a good idea for them to really reconsider the types of friends that they do have in their lives, or to examine which types of friendships that they want to form with other people. It's truly about them forming deep, rewarding, and powerful, loyal relationships. Okay guys, so that concludes my video on the Scorpio rising chart ruler. Sorry, I got kind of taken away for a little bit, but we made it back just to say thank you. Okay, so in the next video I'm going to be talking about the Pisces rising chart ruler, so if you're not yet subscribed and you'd like to keep up to date with when that video will be, then make sure you click that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, thank you for subscribing, and I will be back with another video very soon.